Show.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Real Chat Daddy Show. Words that are being said. Good evening and welcome to the Real Chat Daddy Show. I am your host, Chat Daddy. So glad to be back with you guys on a beautiful, beautiful Monday evening here in the Chicagoland area. We're experiencing what I consider, what do they call it? Harvest fall type weather. It's in the 70s. It's a nice breeze. It's not too hot. I couldn't even think about it because here's the deal. I don't want to rush fall. But if you notice, it's starting to get darker early. I know. We have another great show planned for your viewing and listening pleasure this evening. Coming up on tonight's show, we're going to talk about the 1919 Chicago Race Riots that took place between July 27th and August 3rd of 1919. During these riots, 38 people died. 23 of them were black and 15 were white. It was estimated that over 500 people were injured and over 1,000 black people lost their homes during this time. So we're going to talk about it with a historian tonight and just do a little history on the show this evening. Well, our co-host, who has had great history with us here at the show, is Miss Kay Renee of Karen's Nuggets of Knowledge. And hello, my dear. How are you this evening?
Yay! I'm good, sweetie. How are you? Happy Monday to you. Happy Monday to our viewing audience tonight. It's a beautiful night.
It is. It really is a beautiful night. How was your weekend?
Well, I was resting. See, when the body tells you to rest, you need to respond to that. Early Friday morning, I had pulled a muscle. And I'm not talking like around 5 o'clock. I'm talking about 1 o'clock in the morning. Woke me up. And I was in pain like nobody's business. But again, I'm a type of person, I like to heal holistically, even though I had to take something later. But this weekend, my body said, "You gonna rest, Kay Renee," and that's exactly what I did.
Wow. Well, I am so glad how you were. I came by today to bring you some flowers, hoping that would make you feel better. And then I was being domestic this weekend. I don't know what that was about. I finally got my suitcase back, as everybody knows, from my vacation.
Yes.
And so this weekend was really unpacking that suitcase, putting other things away, housework that had been neglected. And I actually did something that I have not done in a long time. I cooked yesterday.
Yes, you did.
I cooked yesterday.
And
when I cook, I can't cook for just one person unless it's like breakfast or, something like that. But when it comes to a meal, and I had been having a craving for my jambalaya, and I made as they would say, a trough of jambalaya yesterday.
Oh my! No, you made that with love. Because when you brought it over here, you were smiling. This is for you, Kay Renee. And I'm like, oh, I cannot wait. And as I couldn't stop eating, I was texting you and said, oh, I'm still snacking. It was delicious. It was made with love. And I said, I see why Art Keisha, he really could have gone to culinary school and just wowed everybody. I mean, Art, you're just truly a master of everything. But to taste your jambalaya brought me back to New Orleans, not New Orleans. For those who live in New Orleans, that's why they say it. New Orleans. That is New Orleans jambalaya, ladies and gents. So thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. I just had a taste for it, and I've been wanting to make it. And when I do make it, as I said, it's enough that I'm able to give to other people. And so, I bless so many people with jambalaya between today and tomorrow. Because if not, I would sit there and eat the whole pan of it, because it's such great comfort food, and it's the right amount of spice, but yet, still hearty and savory, and, so.
As I said, it reminds me of New Orleans jambalaya. New Orleans, yes.
All right. Yes. Well, as you guys all know, we are a health and wellness show, and so we might as well get this show started. We have so much to talk about, from the COVID variant all the way to the baby being canceled at Lollapalooza this weekend. For many of you who are not in the Chicago, yes, darling, yes.
No, it's we need to change that name. It's not Lollapalooza, but Lollapalooza. That's the name.
Honey, it's more like Falafalapalooza.
Okay.
I was in the West Loop on Friday. I had a lunch date with somebody. We knew to avoid, downtown,
Mm-hmm.
knew to avoid Chinatown, all of that. So we decided to eat over on Taylor Street. Well,
Mm-hmm.
I had never seen so many scantily clad, beautiful bodied young people before in my life, to the point that I knew they weren't from Chicago just by what they had on, their behavior, how they were walking around. And this entire weekend has been nothing but scantily clad young folks, no mask on, barely any clothes on. So I called it Floppapalooza because everything was flopping. Everything. Yes.
You know what? I really believe the only reason why they held the event was one reason.
Baby, come on. Money.
Money.
Money. Money. Yes, absolutely. Hmm.
And this Delta variant is no joke.
None. No.
No joke. And I mean, the CDC, the director, she is pleading with people. Look, for those who not been vaccinated, y'all better be on point. Because if you're not, I mean, I'm still seeing news reports of people really just. Reminds
Yes.
me of Noah and the Ark. If we're gonna take it to a different level, when Noah was talked by God and said, "I need you to build this ark and have two of everything," and folks around Noah said, "Oh, you just a fool."
Right.
Well, similarly to the Delta variant, if you don't take the vaccine, and it's up to you. We're not trying to press you to take it, but um, if you don't take it, it's your choice.
Yeah, but then, Kay Renee, with all due respect, my friend, we're hearing stories now of people who are fully vaccinated
Yeah, I heard
that
that
are
too.
now testing positive for COVID.
I
Some
know.
senator, I guess, just before we came on the air, uh,
Looney Lindsay, yes, he's been
yes,
tested.
yes,
He's
Looney
been tested
Lindsay, fully vaccinated,
tested
now
positive.
tested positive. A television producer here in Chicago was on the news this evening where he and some friends had just got back from a vacation, and 7 of the 10 people on the vacation tested positive for COVID. So, and they all were fully vaccinated before they went on this trip. So it makes me beg the question, and I'm sure a lot of people, whether vaccinated or not, are asking the same damn question. Like, what are the chances? Yeah, and I know not as sick, you may not get dead, but we're all doomed to get COVID.
Well, I'm wondering in those instances whether or not they masked up, because again, some people, not all, but some people who are fully vaccinated, they still feel, well, oh, I've got the vaccine, I don't need to put on a mask. Well, yay or nay, even though when I'm out, I still put on the mask, right? But it is what it is. You have to just still be cognizant. If you're thinking about making sure you practice physical distancing, you gotta still wash your hands. I don't care, vaccinated or unvaccinated, wash those damn hands, right? And just be mindful. I've never been a crowd person, so every year when Lollapalooza comes about, I'm like,
Right,
it's not,
right,
it's not me. So
right.
this is going to be interesting now that Lollapalooza has ended. We'll see what happens with the case count, whether or not it's going to uptick or is going to remain the same. It'll be interesting to see in the days ahead what the true numbers are after the event.
Absolutely. Well, just to let you know, this was the end of their 10-year contract here in Chicago. So that was
Oh,
one of the reasons why it had to go on, is that they had a 10-year contract. They were this was the last event as a part of the contract, and the city's trying to woo and get the contract back again so that it will continue here in Chicago, because Lollapalooza actually does pour a lot of money into the
obviously.
city of Chicago. I saw young white folks, and I'm not trying to be racist here, I'm trying to explain a story. I saw young white folks at a liquor store on 79th Street. Now, that's all I'm going to say. Absolutely. And I had other friends question, like, how did you get over here in this neighborhood? And they'll say, oh, saw it on social media, heard about it, or they liquor prices is whatever, whatever. And we just wanted to explore Chicago. And they explored Chicago this weekend. I saw several of them walking through neighborhoods that I wouldn't walk through at 11 a.m. on a Sunday morning, but they were Airbnb. People were, you get what I'm saying? So most of the people that went to Lala were not from Chicago. So that meant restaurants and drugstores, convenience stores, all those type of things made plenty of money. Yes.
Wow, I'm with you, Pam. Wow, and again, that was the reason why they wanted to do this because of money. It just brought in abundance throughout the Chicagoland area. But to me, it's going to be like, at what cost?
Right, right. We probably will see a uptick in our numbers tremendously over the
Mm-hmm.
weekend. The state of Florida had 21,000 new cases of of COVID-19, and so 21,000 new cases is nothing to sneeze at. But what I find so funny is that now things are going back to normal. I saw today where one of our transit companies will be no longer giving medical personnel free rides anymore. Right. Anything that has pretty much been free within the next 30 days, it's going to start winding down that you're going to have to pay and get back into the swing of things. They're trying to get this economy back on track to pay for all of the shutdown. That's why they're saying will not be a shutdown again. Will not be a shutdown. We'll learn how to handle this.
Okay, I'll wait and see on that, because I guarantee you, if I know if too many people are dying, they go. President Biden may not have a choice.
Right.
So
Right. Well,
you
we'll
know,
see.
we
We
will
will
see.
see. All right. So we just want to remind everyone that the vaccine does not make you bulletproof, you guys. We
No.
still wear our masks. We still social distance. I was out this past weekend shopping. And the one thing that I noticed when I was out is I kind of survey everybody where I am. I was in a big
Mm-hmm.
box store. I was in a drugstore. And I noticed that people that look like me pretty much all had their mask on. People of other minorities, and I'm not just saying white, I was in a mixture of stores. People of other minorities, it was 50-50 with them wearing the mask on. So I kind of thought that was interesting to begin with, because a lot of the places that I frequent do not require you to wear a mask anymore. I eat my favorite
Mm.
coffee shops, I eat some of my restaurants, things like that. And I still wear my mask and will be wearing my mask. I'm fully vaccinated, but I am now afraid that I would contract this new Delta strain.
Mm-hmm. I'm concerned as well. And so, I'm just very mindful when I go out. I will wear my mask. If I'm around my sisters, when we go out, we're very cautious, even among each other, because all of us, pretty much have been vaccinated. But it's just one thing I will say to all our viewing audience: just stay prayerful, ladies and gentlemen. Take
Right.
things one day at a time, but use the common sense that God gave you. Do your research again regarding what's going on, and then you make the choice.
Right. Very true. Absolutely. Very true. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's move on in news stories. Illinois has now confirmed 11,682 new COVID-19 cases. And wait, let me finish, 39 deaths, and 154K vaccines were given last week. So last week alone, we had 11,682 new cases of COVID.
Wow, that's a lot.
Isn't that something? Right.
That's a lot.
Yep, 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 yep. So we'll see how it all works. Okay, well, Kay Renee, what you got in the news this evening? I'm ready for you to pour some hot tea.
Well, we're gonna talk about business, because there's one
Okay.
company everyone needs to have. You know what that is?
What?
Salt.
Oh
Salt.
yes, salt. Absolutely.
And a lot of people don't know, that Morton Salt is here, based in Chicago. But
It is.
unfortunately, they have cut 40% of their staff here in Chicago. So
What?
Morton has been around for over 173 years. But
Right.
they have laid off 120 people of roughly the 300 employees that are based here in Chicago.
Wow. Did they give any particular reason why they got let go?
They didn't meet their Morton didn't meet their business goals. Well, we know what that is. That's code for COVID, and they didn't make a profit. Apparently, a lot of these roles were administrative roles, unfortunately. But yeah, they've laid them off, and so and then they've been sold. They were
Right.
this downsizing follows Morton Salt's $3.2 billion sale in April to Stone Canyon Industries. They're a global
Right.
industrial company. So, this is really kind of sad, right? Because
Right.
we you use salt, right, to
Yeah.
cook, to season, and
Yeah.
to find out that people
Preserve, season. Right.
exactly,
Yes,
exactly.
absolutely.
So Morton Salt, I love when I was young, and I still have. I think the little girl in the rain umbrella dripping with salt. So, but that's just really sad to hear.
Yes. Kay Renee, anytime I hear that people lose their jobs, that it's always very tragic.
Hmm.
Here in the state of Illinois and across the country, that extra funding that we were getting from the government will be coming to
Mm.
an end very soon. So I'm just wondering if the people who work for Morton Salt, if they were like salty after they found out they're gonna be let go. I'm wondering, like,
I
was they
I I
are
be
they very salty? You know what I'm saying?
I'll be a
Right,
little
right.
salty, a little spicy, all that.
I wonder if they were salty after they
Uh,
heard
I
that
b-
news.
I
You know
believe
what
they.
I'm saying?
I know for a fact, especially if there was some sisters working there. They were salty. They
I
had
wonder if
that.
it's
They
not.
had that the neck rolling and all that. Trust and believe.
Every
They were
I'm
salty.
stereotyping black women. I'm glad you said it and not me, but yes, I bet you
Oh
they were
yeah,
in their life. And I'm gonna grab a thing of salt as I leave
that's
up out of here.
right.
How dare you?
I'm not and I'm not using salt no more.
Right,
I'm gonna find me an
right,
alternate
right,
to
right.
salt. God dog it.
Matter of fact, bring me some of that salt for my driveway. Don't bring me
Right.
that salt for my food. I'm
Okay.
discriminating against y'all. So yes, but to all the people that work at Morton Salt, our thoughts and prayers go out to you.
Yes.
We do have to make a little humor on this show. Don't
Yes.
mean you're a fan, but I bet you they were
No.
salty, baby. Or I
They
bet
were.
you they were
They
salty.
were. Oh, I can believe that they were salty, spicy, and all that. But
Right.
but it just reminds you, though. Yes, we would meld. The
Yeah,
salt
we
is
don't
a
need to
killer.
that for Melda.
We
Yes,
do.
absolutely. It is. It's bad for you.
It is. So,
Mhm.
and I'm sure. Yes, Miss Pam. I bet the severance package was good because
Oh,
see that lets you
absolutely.
know when you're leaving from one chapter to the next. You have to. Of course, you're gonna be salty and you're gonna be upset. But think about everything happens for a reason.
Yes.
That cloud is gonna have be a silver lining for you. So just
Right.
think of that. So because I've been in that space before. So now I was salty too. And I didn't work for Morton Salt, but then I always step back and think about this is happening for a reason for me to go to my next level in my journey. So
Yes. Very good. All right. Well, we moving on from being salty to what else
yes.
do we need to talk about?
Oh, I shared this with you privately, but it seems like Mr. Bill and Melinda French now, because she no longer French Gates. Maybe she is. Maybe she kept the name. I can tell you firsthand, I'm a happily divorced woman. The moment that gavel dropped, I was back at Mason. Hello.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but now they have been officially divorced. And she can reportedly get, ladies and gents, and I'm going to say it slow.
Wait. Let me put my ears up here. What is it?
She could reportedly get $65 billion. Let me say it slow again. $65 billion.
Wow. Wow.
And I
That
said,
that
and
would
you know
be
what
what
I
she
said?
would get from the marriage. That's what
Right.
she
And she
65
earned that.
billion.
She
65
earned
billion.
She earned that, all 65 billion of it. I am not mad at it, but I will say this. If I ever met Bill Gates, we had a nice conversation, I'd be like, you know what? Before we even have a conversation, we need to have a discussion. Because if I'm in his presence, come on now, I'm not gonna be like, oh, it's nice to meet you, Bill Gates. Mm-mm. We're gonna have a business. We're gonna have a business conversation.
What would you discuss with Bill
we,
Gates?
we would have a business conversation. He could be an investor.
Oh,
Come on now. You know, I can tell him we got the real Chat Daddy show. We want to
oh,
go
okay.
all the way.
Oh, okay,
Come on
okay. No,
now.
because the way I kind of heard that at first, I had to come back a little bit. I thought you meant like if you ever was in a room and met Bill Gates, and you know, I know how ravishing you are. I thought maybe you was getting ready to, you know. Then you said it was about business, so
That's business.
I said, now wait, K Renee, now is you trying to sell a little bit? Now, please sell something.
No.
Oh,
I'm talking about investment. I'm like, Bill,
yeah.
we need to invest. We need for you to invest in this empire that we.
Got you. Yes. Okay. I'm with you
Yeah.
100. Okay. Look, my
All
mind's in
right.
a whole different direction. I just heard 65 billion, and I'm thinking, girl, look, if you in the room with Bill Gates, if you ain't gonna do nothing to get him, I will, because 65 billion. Hey,
That's what
that
Melinda will get. Now
yeah.
I think he's worth what 142 billion. So you know you subtract that, he's still on top. So
Well, listen, for a billion, I could be the bae or the boo or the freak or whatever he needs. I just need a billion. Just a billion. That's all I would need. And he can do whatever, you know, it's certain limitations and rules, but other, other than that, right, he can give me a billion. He can have whatever little fetish, fantasy he want, whatever. All right, let's move on. What else do we have in news tonight?
well, we were talking about Lollapalooza, and one
Lollapalooza.
of their hot acts who was about to close out the event, Da Baby. I never heard of him until the story broke that
Oh yeah.
they canceled his performance, and rightly so. You make homophobic comments, you talk about women disparagingly, that's your karma.
Right.
So I thought Lollapalooza did the right thing and canceled his performance. Any
Okay.
thoughts?
Yes, well, first of all, let me give you the backstory of how this all got started. Uh, the baby has since issued an apology for his behavior. The
Mm-hmm.
baby offers apology for misinformed comments about AIDS in the LGBTQ community. As of today, after he was being steadily pulled from other events, he was being pulled from the governor's ball, which is a major event that the young crowd likes to go to. He also was being pulled from Day in Vegas Festival, which is a huge festival that will be taking place in Vegas later on this year. That's got everybody and their mama on the bill. And so here's the deal. Other people are trying to mimic Lollapalooza type of event. So I'll give you more details about that later. The backlash comes a week after he was accused of making homophobic comments about AIDS in the gay community at the Rolling Loud Festival. And so afterwards, he did apologize on social media. He said, I apologize for my misinformed comments about HIV and AIDS, and I knew education on this is important. Love to all. So he did. I don't know how much I'm taking his apology. The sad part is most of these little rap dudes is what these little young gay boys want anyway. So the baby perfectly fits what the average gay dude is looking like out here nowadays, other than being extremely feminine. So I don't know, but yes, the baby got pulled from, and there are a lot of people upset about it. But you know, you cannot go around talking negative and nasty about people like that. You know,
Not in this day and climate now. Now you
right?
may have could have done that 30 or 40 years ago, but you won't be able to do it now and think you're gonna get away with it. So
Yeah.
it his consequence fit his actions, and by him apologizing, I personally believe he tried to save face.
Right.
Maybe he will learn from it, but we all say on this show, if you don't learn your lesson, guess what, ladies and gents, you are
Yep.
destined to repeat it.
Yes, ma'am. You're absolutely right about that. All right. Well, hopefully the baby has learned his lesson. And there was a lot of debate on social media today that
Mm-hmm.
is saying
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people believe that these record labels are perpetuating black homosexuality at levels that you would not believe. Little Nas X, the baby, quite a few, you know, just everything is very, and here's the deal. I get caught up in this oftentimes. Yes, being an LGBTQ plus member, being an older LGBTQ plus member, I'm very conservative. So a lot of this stuff that I'm seeing these young people do is mind blowing to me, and how accepting everybody is about all of this. And so I don't know. These record labels definitely are pushing the envelope with just these video. Lil Nas X's last video, I showed it to you. Remember? I know.
I have no words.
I me neither. Okay,
No
all right.
words.
Move on. What else you got in news for us, darling?
Well, guess who may make her appearance tonight at the Olympics? And I know we were going to talk about this, but I am really very proud of Simone Biles. I want to publicly just give her lots of love. And you know, I shared with you a video that
Go
comedian
right
Michael
ahead,
Rappaport.
Simone Biles. We lit a flame
Yes,
for her, the Olympic torch flame.
yes. If you know, if she participates tonight, I'm sure she's gonna rock it. But see, a lot of people don't understand the true pressure that an athlete has to go through to compete at that level. Now, Simone, in my opinion, will always be the GOAT.
Right.
Always. And she was courageous in saying, you know what? I need to step back. Because you think about it too, Art. I mean, you made a comment that you were on the next level to probably report about the 2020 Olympics.
Right.
First of all, that's a long ass ride from Chicago to Tokyo.
It is.
Okay,
It is. It is.
that's first. And then if
Right.
your body is not able to catch up to the time zone, it can,
Right.
you know, she said it, her body and her were not in sync. So
Right.
why risk injury just to please some people? And I loved Michael Rappaport's
That,
when
I'm
I saw that video, I was like,
please tell us about the video, please, for those that may not have seen it.
comedian Michael Rappaport, you have seen him. Is actually he's a Housewives junkie. He always appears on Bravo's Watch What Happens Live with Andy Cohen. He made a personal video by saying that this is not about gymnast. Y'all don't even know what a true gymnast does. He uses a lot of profanity, so I'm not going to use this here in this platform. But he
Right.
said this is about a little black girl that you guys can't deal with.
Right.
I am proud of her that she is standing up for herself and knows herself. For those, you can Google, if you're on Facebook, go to Michael Rappaport. It was 4 days ago, and he talks about in explicit terms
Yes.
how
Yes.
he feels about what has happened with Simone Biles. And he
Yes.
is saying what I'm sure there might be a few vanilla people want to say, but they're scared to say it. And I've never, not to say Michael Rappaport is funny, but I give him kudos for speaking his truth. And
Yes.
you know, the outpouring of love that Simone has received, it's just going to continue, because you know this, I know this. Mental health is real. And
Very real.
if you don't deal, especially in the black community, not only is real, we don't talk about it. We've been
Mhm.
taught not to talk about it.
Right.
Now
Sweep
we need
the
to talk. We
rug,
sweep
all
it
that.
under the rug.
Right.
Now this is not the time to talk about it. And I'm so glad athletes, if when they're not feeling the best, they need to own it and get the help that they need, so they can, when they come back, they can perform at the level that they expect to perform. So,
Absolutely.
so kudos to Simone. I'm hoping because she performs at the Balance Beam
Yes.
tonight. So if
Well,
she
actually,
does
it's tomorrow.
tomorrow night, okay.
Tomorrow when you return. Right. Yes.
Right.
Yes.
But here's the thing about Simone, how giving and benevolent she is. Because she allowed her team to shine. Sunisa Lee, who won the all around. Michaela Skinner, who won in her category. All her teammates, they rose up.
Yes.
You know, so as I said, Simone will forever be the GOAT. And who knows, we may get a chance to interview Miss Biles one day. And I tell you, so, you know, for those haters, keep hating. Let me drink this for you. Okay?
Right.
That's
How
for
we
you.
do, how we do this?
Yeah.
How we do this?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So listen, real quick, I also want to send a very special aloha to my sister girl, Miss Carissa Moore. She is the
Okay.
only native Hawaiian surfer at the Olympic Games, and she won a gold medal for surfing. So she is like the
Hey.
queen of Hawaii when it comes to surfing. And I'm gonna tell you the funniest thing about, surfing was created in Hawaii.
Mhm.
Well, every day when we would go out, let's say for happy hour or whatever the
Mhm.
case may be, you would see people leaving office buildings, people parking their cars, taking their work clothes off, and they were going to surf in the ocean. And like in droves, like we walked to the subway and all that, they were walking to surf. So that surfing is huge in Hawaii, very huge.
And I have to give them credit to give them courage because they had no way in hell I'd be on no board trying to stand up and surf because I had my last experience in the ocean and Baby Shark was like, ooh, K Renee, that's some meat. Let me try to get some meat. No, 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 no. So I give all surfers kudos because there would be no way you catch me out there in the ocean.
Well,
Mm-mm.
I know one thing. Our tour guide said to us, never turn your back to the water.
I know that's right.
And our tour guide have never lied. And I have a video of where my beloved Ursula turned her back to the water. And it's on video. I had to put it out there. Me and her have been trying to put the right music to it and everything. But
Uh
yes,
oh. Uh
she was
oh.
okay. She was okay. But that
Okay.
in Hawaii will suck you in. So you have to be very careful.
Oh
Yes.
no. See, that's why I said. Well, congratulations,
Yes,
the
absolutely.
queen surfer. All right.
Yes. Well, I have some more good news to share. As you guys all know, we have been congratulating Chicago's very own Marla Gibbs. We just
Yes.
love and adore Marla. She just
Yes.
received her star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Well, I got some good news. Two sitcom stars, Emmy winner Jack A. Harry and Marla
Yes.
Gibbs, are set to reunite again on the long running NBC soap opera Days of Our Lives. According to Soap Opera Digest, Gibbs is set to make her debut on the show as Olivia Price, the mother of Jack A's character, Pauline Price. The dynamic duo used to be on 227 together, and so it's going to be really great. As you guys all know, Mary Jenkins and Sandra Clark. Remember that? Mary Jenkins?
Sandra. That's why I kind of every
Yeah,
time when I saw 227, I was always Sandra Clark. So
I
yes.
believe that. I believe that. Look, I wouldn't have given you anybody else but Sandra Clark.
Sandra Clark.
Right. That's why that shark was trying to bite you in your booty. That's why that was trying to happen. So I believe, look, I believe what character you would have played on there. Yeah. All right. Well, as you guys all know, the sitcom aired for 5 seasons on
Mm.
NBC from 1985 to 1990. And of course, they went back and forth with each other on the show all the time. So I'm looking forward. I'm really not a daytime soap opera person, but I will be checking out Days of Our Life and be able to check that out. And as you guys
And
all know, huh?
and interesting enough, Jack Cade, she got her start in soap opera land because she played in Another World. See, I'm a soap opera girl,
Yeah.
so yes, that's
Really?
great. Yeah.
So,
Oh, you didn't
so
know
okay,
that?
no, I did not know that. See, my grandmother was a soap opera queen. The
Mm-hmm.
only soap opera I ever got into was doggone it. What was the one that came on at 12 noon on Channel?
All, all
All my
my
children,
children, all
all
my
my
children.
children, all my children. And then I think maybe General Hospital, I got
Mhm.
into it a little bit. But other than that, I just could never get into soap operas like that.
See, when I was in high school, all the girls saw All My Children because of Jesse and Angie, the first really black super
Yeah,
couple, right?
yeah,
And
yeah.
so, but I grew up watching CBS soap operas, Guiding Light, As the World Turns, Young and the Restless. So, because my mom and my nana watched Channel 2, but I was sneaking to watch Channel 7. I would watch All My Children, One Life to Live, it was okay. General Hospital, the only time I saw it was Luke and Lauren when they got married. But I'm a Channel 2 girl. And I've seen, Days of Our Lives, Santa Barbara was a Channel 5, Passions, so yeah, I'm a soap opera girl.
Oh,
So
wait, I'm going to take you back even further than that. And the light just came on in my head. Do you remember Ryan's Hope?
yes, Edge of
Ryan's Hope,
Night,
right.
search for tomorrow.
Edge of Night.
Yes,
Well, Marianne Alder, who's a friend of the
yes,
show, we just love and adore. We're going to have to get her on one night to hang out with us. Um,
absolutely.
Edge of Night I did remember that with my grandmother. That was the show
Mm-hmm.
we did watch, was the Edge of Night. All
Yep.
right. Well, for those of you all that are just joining us, welcome to the Monday night edition of the Real Chat Daddy Show. I am your host, Chat Daddy. So glad that you guys are hanging out with us on this beautiful Monday evening. As you see, it is starting to get dark earlier. It is
Yeah.
7:30 now, 7:36, and it actually is starting to, as they said, twilight. It's starting
Yes.
to just a little bit.
Yes.
Sit back, relax. We have a great show planned for your viewing and listening pleasure this evening. Coming up in just a little bit, we'll talk to a historian about the race riots of 1919 that took place right here in Chicago. A lot of devastation and loss took place during that race riot. And then when was the pandemic? 1920?
1918, the Spanish flu.
Oh my God. So dang, a pandemic, then race riot. I mean, time is mirroring itself. If you really
It
think
is.
if you really, really think about it, with the unrest of what happened with George Floyd, the pandemic, and I have been saying to you all along, to me, all of this is a biblical proportion. And for you to come up tonight with the Noah's Ark thing, I'm done. You know what I'm saying? Right.
I'm telling you, if you don't, ladies and gents, let's say it again. If you don't learn from your lessons, you are destined to repeat it. Dark Shadows. Thank you, Miss Ursula. I remember Dark Shadows. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Oh, and speaking of movies, guess who's going to be starring in a movie very soon? Will Smith. He
Really?
he is going to star in King Richard, and King Richard is about how Venus and Serena came to pass, because their father was he
A
was
beast.
he was a beast, and
Right.
so Will Smith is going to be playing Richard Williams. I think he may get an Oscar for this one. I
Yeah.
saw the trailer. I was like, all right now, Will.
All
You
right.
go,
Well, we
you
love
go
Will
for
Smith. He's been tried and true throughout the years. So we
Mm-hmm.
appreciate him for all that he has done and all that great stuff, really. So, okay. Well, with that being said, very, very good. We ask that you guys do us a huge favor. Please go over to YouTube and subscribe to the Real Chat Daddy Show. It is very easy, very simple. It's free, does not cost you anything. It helps us to get traction with the show. Also, Facebook, the Real Chat Daddy Show. And for those of you that have been inquiring about the Urban Global Traveler series, we will be ramping up more promotions and things with that coming up soon. We have our first trip scheduled for February of 2022. Fingers crossed that nothing goes on. We do not get shut down. Any of that, we're trying to work on getting the logistics for the trip together. Only so many people are able to travel on this trip. You can come from any major gateway in the United States to go on this trip, but it's a limited amount of people that will be partaking of the trip and the activities. And nope, I do not do trips where we have you all day long and all of that. Nope, it'll be an activity plan a day that we get to hang out and do some things, and then you are at your leisure. Yep, you're at your leisure. We make sure you're okay, you're safe, tell you where you can go, all that good stuff, especially if you've not been to where we're going. And we have a lot of wonderful surprises planned on the trip. All right. Yay. Very good. Kay Renee is our co-host, always doing a great job. She is in her studio. I am in my studio. Kay Renee, I had to get this studio back together tonight because, when I do the other shows, I film them somewhere else, and I only got so much equipment, so I had to put this whole studio back together tonight. So now Thursdays is when this equipment gets moved for the other show. So
Okay, gotcha.
All right.
Gotcha.
Anything you want to say to the people before we bring our next guest in?
This actually was reported before we came on the air, and I want to send, healing to comedian Kathy Griffin, who
Yeah.
she announced that she has lung cancer. And interestingly enough about this, she's never been a smoker, and she's going to have a portion of her lung removed. It's stage 1 lung cancer, so they caught it in time. But, going through that, as we know, our beloved Chat Daddy has, gone through similar issues. That's kind of scary. The fact, when you've been diagnosed with lung cancer and you don't smoke, it kind of makes you wonder, well, how can you get. I just that was baffling to me. But my thoughts and prayers are with Kathy and her family, because that's serious.
It is. It really is. Yes. She's a funny comedian,
Mm-hmm.
great talk show host, all of that. So our thoughts and prayers go out. And if I'm not if I'm correct, I think I am. She lost several siblings to cancer as well
She
too.
did. She
So
did. You're
that's just
outright.
horrific in so many different ways. So yes, keep
Yeah.
Kathy Griffin in your prayers, you guys. All right. Well, our
Absolutely.
next segment, we are very excited to welcome this gentleman to the show. He's an author. The book that he has written is The Jewel of the Midwest: The History of Alpha Phi Alpha in Illinois. But what he's here to talk to us tonight is about something that he and I have had this discussion before. Every year, he reminds me just how important it is for us to have this discussion, especially if you're from Chicago and with all of the things that are going on in our country right now. And again, as we said before, a pandemic back then, and then race riots here in Chicago, a pandemic now, and unrest here in the United States. This conversation is more it's imperative that we have this conversation now more than ever. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the show Mr. Charles E. Smoot. We call him Chuck, and we appreciate him being here with us tonight. And if I'm not mistaken, K. Renee, didn't you all, you know what? I'm so sick of this, K. Renee. I'm going to have to get a different booking agent. I'm going to have to get a different damn booking agent on this. I just talked to somebody today about coming to help me with things. And no more Whitney Young people. Y'all ain't the smartest
Hey,
people in the world.
hey,
The smartest people.
this
Wait,
smart, this
your
smart pretty woman went to Whitney Young's.
be on.
Uh
I think it's Mike. Chuck, check your mic. We can't hear you. Right. Tell him we can't hear him. Boy, oh boy. See, that's what y'all get. Right. That's what y'all, right. He laughing. He can hear me. See, that's what y'all get. See? Yeah, right. Right. That's what y'all get. Oh, God. Can you hear us now, sir?
oh.
Okay.
1 second.
Okay.
There we go.
How's that? There we go.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. Good evening, sir. How are you?
Good evening, sir. How are you, my friend, and my dear dolphin sister? How are you doing?
Stop shaking your head. God dog. We just wait a minute before you get started. Let me just say this: our namesake celebrated over the weekend his centennial, Whitney M. Young. And for those, if you need to know who he is, Google him. He is very known in history. So, and as we always say, Chuck, dolphins are what? We everywhere.
Everywhere from the South Side to the White House.
That's right.
Just remember, and I would be remiss if I did not also mention that Mr. Whitney Young was a distinguished member of my organization, Alpha Phi Alpha. So I'll throw that in as well.
Of course. Well, look, as they say, let's get back to the real chat, Daddy.
Let's get back to the real.
It's always an honor and a pleasure to welcome you.
Always
to
good
the
to
show. Thank you, sir. I got a chance to hang out with you last weekend. And you're right. This is a conversation that more and more people need to hear. This is a conversation we need to continuously talk about. So let's get into 1919. What was the circumstance? What was the situation? And how did this all get started?
Okay, so what we have to before we even and again, I do want to thank you, Art, for having me on, and Karen, it's always great to see you. And what we have to remember is the backdrop. So 1919, the summer was called the Red Summer,
Mm-hmm.
and that was because there were over 25 or 30 racially motivated instances of violence between May and September of 1919. But previous to that, there had been a number of incidents in all areas around the country, out on the East Coast, in the South,
Mm-hmm.
going out west, even as far out as Arizona. You have things in Michigan and Wisconsin going down to Arkansas and Texas and Tennessee. So it was a very turbulent time. You referenced earlier the First World War had ended less than a year earlier, and they were, like we are now, in the middle of a global pandemic, the H1N1 influenza pandemic. And it's interesting because if you look at pictures from that area, you see all bunch of people standing outside buildings, churches, things, and they're wearing masks, and they're kind of far apart. So they did it over 100 years ago. We can do it as well.
Right.
That's just my little
Mm-hmm.
plug.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. I
Amen.
agree.
Amen.
Amen, brother. Amen.
Yeah, but really, what happened was, in Chicago, again, we have to remember that prior to 1940, up to 70% of all Black people lived in what we now call Bronzeville,
Right.
Mm-hmm.
and but it would go over to the lake, and 29th Street was the unofficial color line, for lack of
Mm-hmm.
a better term.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a young man, and his name we should talk about. We should mention his name in the same time that we mention Sandra Bland and George Floyd and Trayvon Martin. He was swimming with some friends, and apparently swam on the other side of the invisible color line there, 29th Street, and some members of this Irish gang started throwing rocks at him. Several of the rocks hit him in the head and caused him to drown. He was pulled out. Some of his friends got kind of hyped up, and the Black people that were on the south side of the beach, and the and the white people on the north side of the beach kind of started getting into it. And a Black cop showed up, tried to arrest the person who he knew, who had been pointed out as being the person who instigated it. And a white cop showed up and was like, "No, no, we don't arrest them." And they wound up arresting the Black people instead. Two Black men were arrested by the white cops. The Black cop was summarily dismissed. And as they say, then all hell broke loose. And that was the beginning. The riot ran from July 27th to August 3rd of 1919. So this lasted for a full week in Chicago, and it was pretty rough.
My heart just goes out to know that here we are, 1919, and the things that we have just gone through. And much like what you said, just like we say, Sandra Bland, George
Right.
Floyd. What was this young man's name? And really, this, I'm telling you, I didn't even know about this until many years in my life. This was something
Right.
I never discussed with my family or in school or any of those things. And I'm just so saddened that here we are now in 2021 and people are just getting the gist of how this is all working.
Right. His name was Eugene Williams. He was a teenager, so I believe he was somewhere between the ages of like 17 and 19.
Wow.
And the other friends that were with him were about the same age. I would be remiss if we don't talk about the legacy of the city, because one of the people who was rumored to have been involved in this but was never identified and never, pointed out, was the person who would become mayor, Richard J. Daley. He was known to have been a member of this Irish gang that was involved in the violence. But
Wow.
what what happened is, and one thing I try to say, we talk a lot about Tulsa, we talk a lot about Rosewood, we talk a lot about what happened in New York with their burgeoning financial districts. And what we have to remember is Chicago, and particularly 35th Street, between
Yes.
about Cottage Grove and
Yeah.
what's now State Street, that was a Black Wall Street as well. There were
Mm,
a number of businesses. You had the first black bank owned by Jesse Binga. You had the second black bank and the first black insurance company owned by Anthony Overton. They had their headquarters right there at 35th and state 35th in Michigan. I'm sorry, and there were a number of doctors' offices, lawyers' offices, insurance companies, grocery stores, beauty salons, barbershops, all up and down 35th Street.
yeah.
It was estimated at one point that the 35th, what they used to call the stroll, that's what they called it back then,
Right.
that the stroll was responsible for up to, in those money terms, about $400,000 a week.
Yes.
And you put that into today's money, that would be about $1.5 million a week. And that's what black people in
Wow.
Chicago were doing during that time. And
Right.
so this is not to take anything away from what happened in Tulsa and what happened in Rosewood and other places, but particularly for those of us in Chicago, we need to understand how our community was
Right.
affected, and we had the same type of financial strength during that time as the other areas did.
Well, here we have a comment from our good friend, Miss Lynn Klein. She's a fan of the show. She said her mom was 9 years old in 1919. They lived at 70th in Wentworth. Her dad put all the kids in the car and told them to lie on the floor, took them to the aunts in Elmhurst. Lynn and I have had some extensive conversations about living in Chicago throughout different times. I love conversation with her about that. Our friend Tammy Gibson. Hello, Tammy.
Hi, Tammy.
For travel. Her Tammy is quite the historian, dear friend of mine. Tammy, we are going to have you on the show. I did see that on the news last weekend.
Yes.
Tammy is trying to make sure these people even have headstones.
Yes.
Headstone unveiling for Eugene Williams at Lincoln Cemetery last week. Tammy, I got to get you on the show to talk about that moment. Go right ahead, Chuck.
Yeah, it's funny because it is my understanding that where Brother Williams was buried was basically went unknown for a number of years or unacknowledged, and it really wasn't until the late 1990s, early 2000s that his grave site was identified. And I'm glad that sister brought up the fact that he was properly given a headstone, because I mean he really was someone who, he died for no reason,
Right.
but as a result of what happened to him, one thing that made the Chicago riots different is black folks armed themselves.
Hmm.
They created what we would call now neighborhood watches. There was one neighborhood watch that was centered out of 41st and Vincennes, which is really how I started to learn about it, because 41st and Vincennes was the first fraternity house in the area. But several fraternities got together. They were armed. They were walking in the street with guns. A lot of these men, and they weren't just fraternity members, but everyone from the community. These are a lot of guys who had come back from Paris, from France, the year before,
Right.
getting out of the army, who had been in World War I. So they did escorts up and down what's now King Drive, down 35th Street, down 39th Street, 41st Street, 47th Street, and 51st Street, to make sure that our women and children could get back and forth to work and school safety during that time. I mean,
Mhm.
it's worth mentioning. 38 people died
Right.
um, during that area.
Right.
23 of whom were black and 15 were white.
Right.
And some of those white folks that lost their lives, they were shot by by the escorts when they were trying to start to get at the women and children. So that's one of the things. Because in a lot of areas, a lot of black folks didn't always fight back, and
Yep.
here in Chicago, we fought back, and that's
Right.
another thing that distinguishes us and the spirit of black folks in Chicago, that
Right.
we fight back.
Yep. Our friend Lynn Klein says that my mom told me the story when I was a little girl, always said, why don't you ever read about this? And I agree. This is something that, again, when I was in radio and you brought this story to me, I had heard rumors of it, but not as
Right.
much as you have it shared and other people. And now it's getting more attention than ever. Kay Renee, I have seen just the angst in your face the entire time of this conversation, my friend. I'm sure you have a million questions. Go right ahead.
I'm saddened and I'm disappointed in myself that I knew nothing about this until, after Tulsa. And then Tammy, I saw the Wall Street article that she was prominently featured in.
Hmm.
And I was just so proud, Tammy. I know you're listening, so congrats to you. But Eugene Williams is our Emmett Till. He's another Emmett
Right.
Till.
Yes, he is.
And it just really hurt me to the fact that we as black people now don't know about this. And again, no disrespect to Tulsa, but we are all native Chicagoans. This is something we should have known about this growing up. So that's the angst that I'm feeling. But at the same time, I'm hoping there will be more stories. Our Chicago media, if you're listening, do some work, more research about Mr. Eugene Williams. Find out if his family is still alive. Have a
Right.
conversation with him. There should be a book about Eugene
I'm gonna
Williams.
reach out to our beloved Tammy as soon as this show is over to see if we can get her in this week to talk to us just for a few minutes. She stays on the road and she's very busy, but if we can get a few minutes of her time, and because Chuck, really, you've taken the lid off of this, and with tomorrow being the anniversary of the end of all of that,
Right.
but I think of just how much damage and repercussions were a result of that probably have never been resolved, right or wrong, Chuck?
Very much correct. They estimate that the damage that was done during that time was in excess of what would today be about 40-50 million dollars in damage, not just on 35th Street, but in some of the areas. Up to 1,000 people may have lost their homes during the violent incidents. It's very interesting. There actually is something you can get. There is Governor Frank Loudon, who was the governor of Illinois at the time, he convened a 12-person panel after everything died down towards the end of 1919. Put 6 black folks on it, 6 white folks on it, and they put together this report, which is actually available for free as a free download on Amazon. And when I was reading through it, one thing that struck me is something that I heard that I hear in response to the Black Lives Matter stuff. Is this woman was interviewed for the book, and she says literally, and I can say uncomfortable words here, right?
Yes.
Please
Okay.
do.
So this woman, it says it in the write up. The only type of nigger I want to see is a dead nigger. This was a direct quote that is in that report when they were examining what led to the violence and what could be done afterwards. But this was a woman from Bridgeport, and this was her attitude. And I heard someone else, seen videos on YouTube of a woman expressing that same thing in response to Black Lives Matter and some of the violence that was going on last year. So we still have these types of attitudes, more than 100 years later. We're dealing with the same things, with wars, with all the wars we have going on, with pandemic. It's the more things change, the more they stay the same.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. Kay Renee, anything else you want to say to our guest before we talk about his wonderful golf outing that he has coming up? Look, not only do we get a history lesson, but we get the swing. Yeah. Okay, Renee, go right ahead.
No, Chuck, we go way back. So
Yes, yes, ma'am. We certainly
to
do.
see you
Yeah, whatever, whatever,
stop
whatever.
that. No, it's not just
No,
at
no,
Whitney
go ahead.
Young. Not just at Whitney Young, because he also went to CUT.
Yes,
Hello.
yes,
Oh, I
indeed.
didn't know
So,
Yes, he
hello,
did.
Art. He went to Christ
I
University
was,
Temple. He
I
was
was
a
a Donnie Coleman
YC.
baby.
That's
I certainly
right.
Okay,
was.
That's
okay.
right. That's
I was,
right.
I was actually vice president of the YEC.
That's right. That's
Yes,
right.
Very
But
good.
yes.
no, on a serious note, Chuck, I have watched you evolve and to see you now learning history and hopefully I'm hoping you'll be able to reciprocate and teach this history where it needs to go because I know you're an alpha man. I know there's
Mhm.
some alpha man watching the show tonight. Uh, I'm a cute sweetheart, so I'm gonna leave that alone.
Well,
But
I won't hold that against you.
please don't. But thank you so much for bringing light to this because as I said in here when I read the article that Tammy was featured about Eugene Williams, I was in shock and I was saddened myself. I said, I think of myself as being knowledgeable
Right,
about Black
right.
history and not knowing this in my own neighborhood in my own home city. This is not good, and I'm hoping now that people like yourself will be brave enough to say, you know what, we need to talk about this because if we don't
Right,
talk about it, I said it earlier to this evening. If you don't know about your history, you're destined to repeat it.
Exactly.
right,
And
right.
to be honest, I had heard about it in passing, but it wasn't really until working on my book that I really learned about how devastating the riots were in Chicago. So
Hmm.
I was ignorant to it as well. And it's only been within the last 5 years that I really started learning about it. But as long as we have people like myself and like you mentioned, Tammy and others and Art who give us a platform to talk about it, and there are people who are willing to listen, then that's half the battle right there.
Right. You're
Yeah.
absolutely right. Man, oh man, oh man. Chuck, let's talk about this wonderful golf outing that you and your fraternity brothers will be having. Go right ahead.
Yeah, well, I am a founding member of the Theta Chapter Alumni Association for the Theta Chapter of Alpha Phi Alpha, which was started here in Chicago in 1910. On Saturday, September 14th, we are having our golf classic out at the Eaglewood Resort and Spa out in Itasca. That place is laid. Let me tell
It
you,
is. Yes.
it is
Yes.
a top of the line
It is beautiful.
event. We have our fraternity brothers. We have some great sponsors. One of our sponsors is your friend Art. That France group, Eric France, is one of our
Of course.
sponsors.
Yes, very nice.
And one thing that we're specifically looking to do, and what I really and I appreciate you letting me speak on this. We have a lot of young men and women who play golf. A lot of young Black men and women who play golf. There's a wonderful golf program in Detroit called Midnight Golf, and they have done fabulous things in terms of mentoring our youth through golf. And one of the things we decided to do was we wanted to offer up a foursome for teenagers to come to play. So
No.
we are looking for people to sponsor one or two teenagers to play during the event. It's only $125. If you have a young man or young woman who is interested, we'd be happy to have them. Eric, actually, in the France group, have agreed to sponsor a teenager in the name of the France group and in honor of his father, Erwin France. But this is our way to get more young people involved in the sport of golf and get them moving on that more positive track that that experience and access to golf provides. So
Very
that is what we're doing. You can find us on Facebook or Instagram, and or find me Chuck Smoot on Facebook, and I
Well, how
can
about if I
give
put your
more information.
website up there? How about if I put that website up there?
That'll work. Yeah,
Yeah,
that will
how
work.
about that?
That
How
definitely
about
works. That will work. I get it, Art. You're telling me to shut up. I get
no, no, no,
it.
no,
No,
no.
I'm just joking.
Look,
I'm just joking.
I,
I'm
I
just
I
joking.
don't do that. I know how
I
to cut
know.
people
I
off now. But you do a
I know
great
you do.
job now, Chuck. You look, I'm still tripping on this 1919
Yeah,
situation.
Hello.
it's a lot, and there's so much more. There's so much history about our people that we just have not been exposed to, and I count myself into that, and that's why it's incumbent upon us to teach the history whenever we can. So, Art, again, thank you for this platform and this dialogue. So, if we educate at least one or two people, we've done the job.
Right. Very good. I appreciate you so very much. Kay Renee, please say good night to your lifelong friend there, my yeah, see,
Au
I'm working with
revoir.
a different booking agent on this show. I hate the fact that everybody's so smart. Did I mess up it? Never mind. I won't say it.
No, you
No,
you.
you
I
did
told you
something right.
you're an honorary dolphin in my book, Art. I
All
told you
right, so
that.
that's what I've been hearing. That's why my classmates don't speak to me no more. That's why I really don't care.
No,
Lynn Klein still mess with me, but
that's
everybody else.
right.
Okay,
That's right.
yes.
No,
Okay, I like that.
au revoir, Chuck. Again, continue
Thank you.
success with what you're doing, and keep talking the history. Keep sharing the history. It's needed,
All
especially
right.
during this time.
Thank you. I definitely will.
All right. Well, Chuck, thank you so very much. I look forward to seeing you again real soon. Take care of yourself. Always great history. And if we ever need to know anything else, please let me know so we can share it with the audience. Okay.
And I am always at your disposal, my brother. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And
Again
tell
for
my
having
good
me on.
friend, Mr. Eric France, I said hello.
I
It's been a while
definitely
since I
will.
chit chat with him.
I'll definitely let them know.
All
All
right.
right.
Thank you so much. Ladies
All
and
right.
gentlemen,
Take
one
care.
and only Mr. Chuck Smoot. Give it up. Talk to you later, sir. Yay. That was incredible.
Yay!
Hey,
Oh goodness.
wow. We're going to have to get Tammy on here. I'll connect with
Uh,
her tonight and try to get
you,
her on so we can have
you
part 2 of that conversation.
you need to read. I don't know if you saw the Wall Street Journal article. It is fascinating, and she is on a serious quest. And I was just so
Yes.
proud. I said, I know this woman.
Yes.
I was just so proud to know that she's just continuing doing the work, and it's one day at a time.
Tammy is such a dynamo that my cousin in Georgia is madly, madly in love with her work, who she is, all of that. They've been actually talking about some project that will kind of trace my family history and just all of that. So Tammy is the bombdiggity.com. She really is. And we'll see if we can get her on here tomorrow night to talk with us. Speaking of tomorrow night's show, our Tuesday night show, we have governmental royalty that will be joining us. Illinois State Senator Maddie Hunter will stop by tomorrow night. She does a wonderful back to school program every year, and she'll be here tomorrow night to share some of the details with us about the event. And fingers crossed, we can get some Tammy Gibson on the show tomorrow night. Yes, Sankofa travel her. Fingers crossed, we can get some Tammy Gibson on here tomorrow night. All right,
Yay!
Renee, well, we've done the doggone thing. Did you
Yes, we
see where
have.
Auntie Carolyn, Miss Carolyn Douglas, she said on my other Facebook page that I am the best jambalaya maker in the city. She said it on my
Well,
Facebook page.
I don't dispute that at all, cause that's some New Orleans jambalaya, honey.
Yes, 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 absolutely. All right, well, I think that's what has made me so sleepy because I had me a little dish of it earlier. So I think it might be bedtime for Bonzo after we get done with this show. Anything
Oh,
else we need to talk about, darling, until tomorrow?
you know, I guess we could. I would be remiss if we didn't talk. Well, actually, there's two things. You sent me an article about a wonderful dad talking about loving his
Oh,
children.
oh, yes, please. What a great way to end this show. Yes, let's talk about
Uh, I mean, this father rescued his babies and his niece from a fire bomb in their house.
yeah,
And unfortunately, he did, as well as the children did, suffer burns. But when he made the statement, he said there was no question I was going to get my babies,
yes,
and got those babies and went back in the bill in their house to get the niece.
yes,
And kudos out to, and I want to get his name because I want to. Here's the thing: I know they lost everything, unfortunately, but there's a GoFundMe for him. They have already raised over $200,000.
that's beautiful. Yep, that is absolutely beautiful. Let me give you guys the story. His name is Ray
Yes.
Lucas, and his
Yes.
girlfriend, Cheyenne Brown, returned after a
Mm-hmm.
trip to the corner store to pick up some milk. They found their Michigan home engulfed in flames, and their
Mm-hmm.
twin daughters were trapped inside. The mother, of course, hysterical, did not know what to do. The babies are only 18 months old. She was in a panic in front of their East Point, Michigan home. He said, I was speechless. Actions took over me. He ran in the house. He told CNN, everybody is loving this man, like CNN Man of the Year.
Mm-hmm.
That's how deep this is of just what he, did to save not only his children, but his niece as well, too. Just
Mm-hmm.
absolutely beautiful. Congratulations, brother. And we need more brothers to step up like that. We really do.
Amen. Amen. And prayers for the recovery, because when you get burned, that's no joke. It's just
Right.
not only the physical part.
Yeah.
You go through something emotionally. So,
Yes. Yes.
we're keeping you and those babies and your niece and your and Miss Cheyenne, I'm sorry, in our prayers, because again,
Right.
the GoFundMe, they initially wanted to raise 40,000. They have raised already
God is
$286,000.
good. God is in
God
the
is good.
He is. He's in the blessing business. And
He
and you know
is.
what touched my heart more than anything is when he got to his babies, and that's what I tell people. Know your house. If something was to go wrong, would you be able to walk through your house and get around? He couldn't even see, but he knew the layout of the house and where the
Mm-hmm.
children were. And he said when he got there to the babies' cribs, they weren't even crying. He said he believed they were in shock about just the
Mm-hmm.
amount of fire and smoke, and just imagine what was going through their minds being children and just
Mm-hmm.
all of that. So God bless them to the highest degree. And yes, let's keep blessing that family so they can get back on their feet. And thank you
Amen.
for being a good dad. What else we got,
Yes.
darling?
I think, I don't know if we should mention about our former governor, but you know,
Hey,
uh,
Roddy Rod. Oh, Roddy Rod. Oh,
Rod
Roddy Rod.
Blagojevich, he about to sue the state of Illinois because he
He
felt
sure
he
is.
he he because
Roddy
see
Rod ain't playing.
he claims he doesn't want to run for office. Now, if you're gonna go through all this rigmarole, you feel that your rights have been violated. He has a plan and action, but one, he's disbarred. He can't practice law.
Right.
So all this to say what? Because he said if it goes all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court, he'll let it go. But I'm questioning who gonna pay for his legal fees, even though it was reported he's gonna represent himself. And there's a saying about a lawyer representing himself. I don't know the exact saying, but basically,
Oh, I never knew that. But let me say this to you. Rod Blagojevich feels as if he was railroaded. And if
yes.
Rod Blagojevich really does have a point to prove, Rod Blagojevich is going to prove his point. And here's the deal. I'm with Rod Blagojevich 100%. Once you've been railroaded and you know what you want justice. You really do want to see justice. Now, here's the deal. Will this go anywhere? Will it probably end up costing a lot of money? Absolutely. But Rod Blagojevich has a point that he wants to prove. And really, in all honesty, I'm curious to see what point is he trying to prove. Because anytime this man was elected the governor of the state of Illinois, the third largest, as far as
Mm-hmm.
market, I mean, you have Chicago, downstate, surrounding area. This is a
Mm-hmm.
hellified state. For
Mm-hmm.
that man to rise to that level and then go to prison on just I don't know. I'm curious to see where all of this will go to. So look, gone Roddy Rod, gone Roddy Rod. He said he promised his wife he wouldn't run for office again. That's what he said. So
We will, and I'm sure he has his receipts. Whatever
yeah,
he's trying to do, I guarantee you, he probably has his receipts as well.
what you said, boo, got them receipts, and that's what
Got
I'm
the
talking about.
receipts.
That we're living in a day and age now where if you got the proof, keep pushing it, keep pushing
Yeah.
it, keep pushing it, keep pushing it, because for so long people will treat you any old kind of way, and you've got to
Okay.
put it into it. You've got to put it
A-
into it. Absolutely.
Amen.
So, all right, Rod. That was almost like an angel and the devil telling you what to do. Right. That was the angel over there and the devil over here. But then the devil kind of proved his point, didn't he? He did prove his point.
Yes.
I'm just saying. All right, K Renee. Baby, we need that nugget.
Yes, this
We
my
need a
nugget.
nugget of knowledge.
Yes, today is Motivational Monday. So here's your nugget. Life is about balance. Be kind, but don't let people abuse you. Trust, but don't be deceived. Be content, but never stop improving yourself. And that's Motivational Monday. Hashtag life lessons.
Yay! For more information about yours truly, but hers truly, or Madam Truly, sitting over there, Madam Truly, tell it like it is. It's Karen's Nuggets of Knowledge, Karen's Nuggets of Knowledge.com. Please follow her, support her, thank her for always doing what she does. We truly appreciate her here on the show. And what else we need to cover? Let me see. If anyone is going through any type of circumstance or situation, as if you feel you might need help, the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline number is 800-273-8255. Again, that is 800-273-8255. Reach out, talk to your friends, see if they need any help. This pandemic has changed a lot of things. I've been talking to people lately that I've not talked to in years, and it's been the most refreshing thing ever. And so I think now more than ever, it's time for you to switch up friends. It's time for you to switch up circumstances. It's a lot going on right now, but just know God is in it all. No
Yes,
matter
he
how much
is.
it's in confusion, I still believe God is in it all. All right. Don't forget, on this show, we are supporting the fact that we want you to wear your mask until November of 2025. We are trying to help curb the COVID spread. We're hearing more and more stories that people who are even fully vaccinated are still coming up positive. My mask tonight says wearing is caring. Look at that. Wearing is caring. Yes, it is. Look at there. Look, yep, and y'all thought I was silly for buying all these masks to match my outfit, but I be slaying everywhere I go with my combos. Right, and I bought a lot of them on clearance and all of that. But yep, get you some masks and make sure you represent and do all that good stuff. Okay, wearing is caring. Wear it when you're out in public. Don't nobody,
Absolutely.
right. I ain't got no money to get the grill fixed right now, so the mask is wonderful. I love it. Yeah, I cut that halitosis down, all of that. Yeah, so wear your mask, wash your hands. If your grandkids or kids went to Floppapalooza this weekend, honey, y'all better get them tested. Ursula said she was down by Navy Pier and someplace was offering free COVID testing. She said the line was massive.
I believe it.
And she said, but not a person had a mask on in the line.
Now go figure. How oxymoronic is that?
Because they figure they outside. Because really, Kate Renee, when you think about all of this stuff is misleading. It's all confusing, misleading, all of that. So guess what? When I'm in places and I'm gonna wear a mask. I'm just gonna wear a mask. I'm sorry, y'all.
Amen.
Yes, right. I'll take a picture with you, all that, but I'm putting my damn mask back on. All
That's
right.
right.
Well, thank you guys so very much for joining us tonight. Wamelda, we love you as always. She says, great show. Enjoyed everyone.
Thank you, Wamelda.
We love you, Wamelda. Madam Lynn Klein, we love you so very
Thank
much.
you, Miss
Thank
Lynn.
you. We appreciate you, Lynn. We always appreciate the wonderful feedback that you give us. History is what I love. I love hearing those stories of what was. How did things get to where they are now? Have we ever tried to heal and fix our situations and all of that? We also want to give a big hug to our good friend, Miss Watika Klein Peter. Watika,
Yes.
dear friend of mine. She's become a friend of Kay Renee. Her great grandson was involved in a shooting that he should have never ever been involved in, and so our thoughts and prayers go out to the family. And I had Watika on my radio show 5 years ago when her grandson got killed. And now here it is, her great grandson. And this is just crazy. And her great grandson just graduated school, beautiful young man, heavily involved in the church, had a youth summer job. And as they said, was not in any of that, as y'all say. He was in none of that. And now this young man, it's just sad. It really is. All right, darling. Anything else before we skedoodle?
Well, I always like to end the show with a laugh note. Now, we were talking about the Olympics and Miss Simone, right?
Right.
Maybe we'll be coming back. Well, you sent me a story about Snoop Dogg and Kevin Hart
Yes.
talking about the Olympics and
Yes.
talking about the fancy horse. Now,
Yes.
interesting enough about this horse, they were giving their analyses on how this horse was ranked. Now, you have to
Yes.
see the video, ladies and gents, because it's hard for me to explain it. But
Now,
let me
wasn't
just
isn't
say,
this on you, Hulu or
I
somewhere like that?
I think so. But let me just say this. There's certain men, I don't care what color they are, black, white, polka dot, they have that certain swag. When they walk, you could tell they have that certain confidence.
Right.
This why I equate that to. This horse let everybody know that it got some swag. And it
Right.
was walking like he had some swag. And it just I couldn't stop laughing. And the commentary between Kevin Hart and Snoop Dogg was just hilarious. So
Right. Well, it's actually a part of Peacock programming,
yeah.
and it's Kevin Hart and Snoop Dogg doing commentary of the Olympics. Because now, here's the deal: as much as I love and adore the Olympics has thrown my television viewing off completely.
Mm-hmm.
I've had to look at other things. I have a routine. I know Ellen's gonna be leaving soon. All of that. So I have been watching a lot of different things that I never would have watched before. And you're right, the Kevin Hart and Snoop Dogg thing is just hilarious. It really is. So if you guys get a chance, Google that, because he said Snoop Dogg said that the horse had a crip walk. It was crip walking.
Okay.
So he was like, "Look, the horse got a little pep to it. Look,
That's
look,
what I'm saying.
Right, the horse.
Little gangster lean. That's what I thought.
Gangster lean. So we'll see, but you are absolutely right. You are. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we've come to the end of another hopefully great show. We hope you guys have loved the show. Please do us a favor. Go over to YouTube and subscribe to The Real Chat Daddy Show on YouTube. Facebook is The Real Chat Daddy Show. For more information about yours truly, please visit therealchatdaddy.com. Therealchatdaddy.com is my website. Thank you, dear. I appreciate you for that. Don't forget, coming up tomorrow night, Illinois State Senator Maddie Hunter will join us. And fingers crossed, historian Tammy Gibson will stop by. And then Wednesday night, we have another great show for you guys as well, too. All right? Thank you all. We appreciate you all. Oh, we got another comment here. Oh, thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Miss Therese.
Thank you. We love you. She's a comedian too, baby. She a cut up on her social media. She does zinger jokes that I just love.
Right.
Things that are funny. They are. All right. Well, God bless you guys. Stay safe. Wear your mask. Wash your hands. Here's the deal. I want to encourage you guys to get vaccinated, but then hell, I don't know. People who are fully vaccinated are still contracting COVID. So it just makes you wonder. So do what I do. Take your vitamins, take immune boosting things, eat right, get plenty of sleep, and just try to cut the stress out your life. How about that? All right. We love you guys. Have a great night. We appreciate you all. Any more comments? Oh, hey, Booker T. I got to get Booker T.
Hey, Mr. Booker T.
Hey, Booker T. We appreciate you guys. Talk to you guys later. Have a beautiful night. We're out. Bye.
Bye.
Daddy. Show.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Real